But I also didn't want to miss out on you guys getting to hear Dionne's story while we're here, because Dionne lives in France, if you didn't know, and the likelihood of ever seeing her.
No, stop. That's not true.
Yes, I saw you once.
Well, okay, that's true. 2 years ago. So.
It may be 2 more years before you get the chance to hang out with Dionne again. And so I just really wanted to bring her in front of you guys to just chat about her journey over the last few years. Because she's accomplished some really awesome things, and a lot of those changes I showed you on that chart are things that she has done successfully without having to work, even more than 40 hours a week at this point?
Yeah, no,
Less. So, and she lives in France. I think I mentioned that, and it's beautiful, and she's just like out in the woods with her dog and her kids, and like it's just such a magical existence. Obviously, I follow her on Instagram. And all of that is possible, and it's not something, you know, as awesome as Dionne is, it's not like she is somebody who's just like this elite, like special, like nobody can be like me kind of person. And so that's why I wanted to bring her on, because I want you guys to see yourself in her and see, okay, if she can do it, I can too. So I want this to be really an open Q&A. She's got a recorded mic, but I'm going to hand her the handheld so you guys can hear her. If we could still get the recording mic so that everything's on, is that possible? Do you guys have that? Because I'm going to share the recordings with you guys as a bonus for being here. I want to make sure you can go back and listen to the recording. So I want to make sure the questions and everything are on the record. So, okay, Dionne, while we're getting that set up, do you want to just share nutshell version of where you were around 3 years ago when you started your business? Like what was happening when you decided to start a business?
Yes, well, hello everyone. Make sure you can hear me okay. I already had a business, but it was like so hard. I was figuring it all out on my own. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like piecemealing everything, working way too much, feeling burnt out. And I found Laura because I'm like, I can't keep doing this. Like I wanted to be a business owner, but like not in this way. So I figured I really can't do this alone anymore. Like I need a coach. I need somebody to guide me. And Laura, I'm not even exactly sure, probably Instagram. I don't know how I found you.
Maybe one of those attraction strategies I'm going to teach you tomorrow.
Yeah, probably, because I don't even remember, but she came across my vision and I knew that she could help me. So I actually signed up for her first MBA program.
Is it the first one?
I think it was the first one, wasn't it?
The beta?
No, maybe after the beta.
The first official one.
After the beta. Yeah, because it was fall.
Yeah.
You did beta in spring, I think. So the first official.
Well, actually, I did the beta in the summer and relaunched it literally the week we ended. So.
Okay, so I did that one.
Rapid fire.
I did the relaunch. And I went ahead and upgraded into VIP because I knew I was going to need the one-on-one support. And so in that 6 months, right? Or was it 3 months? Not even 3 months. My business completely changed in 3 months. It was so great. She was like, why are you doing all this work? And why are you serving people at this price point? And what do you mean you're doing one-off sessions? Like, what are you doing? So we put together the high ticket model, right? Like the high ticket package, one-on-one package, so that now all of a sudden I could see half the amount of people and make the same amount of money, which felt really good. And then I had the bandwidth to start putting together a course. And so by the end of that program, I had a course. I had already done a beta launch of the course and getting ready to like relaunch the course. And start the group like in 3 months, you guys. It was really fast. So then after that 3 months, I decided I couldn't let go of Laura yet, and she still had the mastermind. So I did a year of mastermind with Laura. And in that year, I doubled my revenue, like really, really cool. And being able to see less clients and start scaling this group program. And then I would say for the last, so that was 2 years ago, right? So for the last year and a half or so, I've been working on the hybrid model of like combining this high ticket one-on-one support with more group support with the curriculum, right? Like the resources that you don't, you build as you go. You don't have to do it all up front, right? So it would just be kind of like when I launched the group, it's like every month you're going to get a new lesson because I'm building as we go. Right. And it was totally fine and it worked great. And then by the end of the year, I had like curriculum. So then I could do other things in the group. And yeah, it's just really allowed me. I mean, it doesn't mean that there isn't still growth to happen. And we're kind of working on that next level now. But I think that within that year and a half, I've really been able to create something that not only gives me a lot of joy, but is totally sustainable. Like I am nowhere near burnout anymore. I'm not working weekends anymore. I'm not working late at night anymore. Like I have time to be with my family. I have time to travel. This summer, we actually took a month off to go see my family in California. And I was able to do that. So I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm not at that third tier yet, right? Like, it's not like you have to be all the way at the end of the goal line to be able to like actually create the lifestyle you're looking for. I think Laura really helped me do that. So yeah.
Well, and one thing I want to mention, because, the mastermind, I've had a lot of questions come up about that, and it's not dead. It's just hibernating right now. So what I will say is a lot of what I learned from working with people like Dionne in the mastermind was what actually inspired the curriculum for our Shift program. Because literally, like we had a session, a month ago, maybe 6 weeks. And I was looking at her business model. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a great reminder that this is exactly what I'm teaching other people to do, that you're just doing it. And it was from the work that we did between NBA and the mastermind. So I just wanted to mention that because like the mastermind wasn't some like magical, special, like she got all the good stuff in the mastermind. Like literally I took what the mastermind was and almost, not that this was my intention, but it was almost like a beta for the content that I then put into the Shift program. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because the mastermind, I love the people that were in it, but it was a difficult program for me to run with a baby. So we shall see where motherhood takes me. But yeah, basically your entire business model is what the Shift program is all about. So, I think that's a good overview of your journey over the last 3 years. I would love to just open it up for questions. And this is this anything goes kind of question time?
I mean, yeah, I'll say, what could I say? Like, no comments. Oh, yeah. If I don't feel comfortable answering.
Thank you for sharing. First, I didn't catch what your niche is. I'm just curious.
I didn't even say that. I'm sorry. So I work with people going through cancer. That's
Laura did say that.
That's my niche. Yeah. And so I've created a program where I really help people what I describe through each phase of the cancer journey. So through treatment, through post-treatment, detox, healing, repair, and then long-term recurrence prevention. And I've integrated, integrative medicine and functional medicine tools to help us do that. And I really love it. I feel like it's something that's just needed. Like there's not a lot of us out there doing this work. And cancer can feel like such an unempowering experience. And it's really my goal to be like, it doesn't have to be that way. There's a lot we can do to help you heal. So yeah, those are the people I work with.
That's amazing. Thank you. And my second question is, if you could put yourself back when you were in the NBA and you said in 3 months you did all that. So can you remember, like, how did you prioritize your time to be serving the clients you had one-on-one so you still were getting an income, attracting new clients, and building a scalable thing? Like, that's just like what I can't figure out is how to do all of that at the same time and like be a human being.
You just have to just not be a human being.
Right.
That would be fearsome.
But like I have kids, it's like I don't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. I think one of the very first exercises we did that was so helpful was that time management exercise. You probably have a name for it.
Probably. I think it was like the time management matrix or something super creative like that.
And it was really looking at like, how do you spend your hours in a week? And so I think the very first thing we did was completely changed my schedule to time block because I was all over the place, you know? So they're like, no, like, let's actually make Mondays your admin day. And maybe Tuesdays are program development. And that's when I worked on my course. And then Wednesday, Thursday are clients or, you know, so that was incredibly helpful and not obvious to me. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. I remember after that, like our very first session, and she gave me that model. I told my mom, who helped me invest in it, by the way. So, like, be creative. I know it's super scary when you're like, I don't have a lot of revenue and I'm not sure how I can invest in a coach. I just went to my mom, like, can you please help me do this? Because it's really important. And I told her after that first conversation, she's like, oh my God, it was worth the money right there. And I'm like, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. So,
I don't think you told me.
no, she did. She was like, oh, totally worth it. So, yeah, I just had to get really like focused, time blocks, you know, and one whole day was dedicated to creating the course, right? And then by offering a higher ticket package, I didn't have as many clients. And at first that felt a little scary to like downsize, but then it felt really nice because I was making the same amount of money and I had more space to do these other things.
Can I say something about that?
Of course.
So I think something that's interesting about what Dionne shared is that she cut down on how much time she was seeing clients and her revenue maintained. And I think sometimes when we're talking about business, it's like grow, more money. And that's great. But sometimes there are times where the goal is not to specifically make more money. It's more about how do I cut down on how much I am working to make this amount? Because that is something where you needed that space to be able to then create the thing that took you to the next bracket. But like the only way to get there was to slow down and to create the space for it. And part of that meant raising your prices and taking less total clients. So I just wanted to point that out because I think like, you know, my goal is always to be as transparent as possible about the process. And there has definitely been times in my business, even the last couple of years, where the goal was to maintain revenue so that I could fix the things that needed to be fixed so that revenue growth wasn't going to break me, right? Because like sometimes business growth, this is like why I started the session today with this idea that growth at all costs is not the goal. The goal is how do I either maintain with less or how do I grow without it taking more of me to the point where now I have nothing left to give? So that the ideal scheduling process is in module 1 of NBA. So if you need to go back to that, that is something that you can go back to. But it's the same exercise that she's talking about is like really getting somewhat ruthless with your calendar.
100%. I would just say one last to piggyback and then take another question is also Laura really giving me permission. Not that I needed it, but you know, she's my coach. So of course, like you want your coach to support your thoughts. Is that it doesn't have to be built before you sell it. That was huge. Like I wouldn't have thought to do that on my own either. It's like, oh, I could sell this program and then build it as we go. And literally like week to week, I was building the modules. Mm-hmm. That helped too. Right? Because I was getting paid to create it. Yeah. Yes, Kyle.
So when you first started with NBA and you were able to kind of cut your client load, I mean, almost like in half, and probably raise your prices like double, did you in that process change a lot of your offer, or was it just working and kind of figuring out that like the model wasn't sustainable and you just had to kind of like increase the price to drop the number? But did you make any changes to the offer?
Yes, I did. That's a good question. Is that I went from, I'm trying to remember now because that was 3 years ago, but I think what I was offering people was like this initial where you put all your energy, right? The initial plan, the initial appointment and plan, and maybe like one follow-up.
Yeah. That sounds familiar, Kyle.
And that's what people were saying, right? And I was like, that's silly. Why am I doing this? So then I created like a 3-month package I was like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Right. And also I was doing like, so you did your initial and follow-up, and then you could just like book follow-ups as long as you needed. Yeah, no. So now we don't do that, right? Now it's like, well, now it's changed again. But at the time it was like, no, we're going to do 3 months. And if at the end of the 3 months you feel like you need more, then we're going to book another package. And that totally changed. And what I found interesting is obviously like the price point changes now, maybe who the easy yeses are, but it still wasn't that hard to sell. And in my head, I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. People were like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Why wasn't I doing that before? I just didn't know. I didn't know.
Did feel oddly personal.
Yeah.
You feel personally attacked.
This is what I just went through. So
Also, is the bar ready? If anyone wants to grab a drink, please feel free. So.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I can ask you later. So in terms of when you increased your price double to have half as many clients, were any of them continued clients, or you totally shifted who your ideal client is? And like, was that a hard shift? Was that easy?
Yeah, that's a great question, because every time I've updated my offer, I've had to deal with that. Like, there were already existing clients. So I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways you could do this. I'm sure Laura has ideas, but what I did was the people who had already bought a package, I just honored their package, whatever they had paid for it. But then if they wanted to continue, it was at the new rate. That's what I did.
And everyone continued? 5 of those, let's say there were 10, 5 of those continued, or was it a whole new 5?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember now, but I feel like, again, even for those people who really wanted continued support, I don't recall it being like a really difficult conversation, which is kind of like, this is where we are now. This is my bandwidth. And I would also just be really upfront with people. Like, I'm not taking as many clients. I'm really like shifting my practice so that I can be more available to you, so I have the energy to support you. And they're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, and probably since then, I've changed my one-on-one model maybe like 2 or 3 more times. And even now, after our last meeting, updating it again. So yeah, it continues to evolve.
But you're not creating new offers. You're adjusting the one that you are currently selling. So that's, I think you want to speak to that as to like the effort that goes into changing something that's already working versus starting something new.
Yeah, no, we're not starting something new. No, because then I can't keep my like balanced lifestyle, right? If I'm just always creating new products. So no, it's the same concept, but I mean, I will tell you this most recent iteration I'm really excited about, because I did bring on another dietitian to help support me so that I could see less clients, so that I could like step more into some of the like marketing pieces and things that I just didn't really have time for. And it was like, how do I figure out how to do that without just telling people, oh, you don't get to work with me anymore? Because I didn't want that either, right? So that evolved over this time, but the most recent one that Laura helped me kind of dial in is that we're basically both going to be helping the clients, but it's more like I'm going to be doing some deep dive sessions with me, and then she's going to do all the rest. She's going to do all the support sessions. And so now it's like maybe I check in with them once every 3 months, and she's doing the rest. Right? Which feels great. And I've had people like happily. So again, it's like these mindset things that we tell ourselves, nobody's gonna pay for that. They want me. They're not gonna pay for my dietitian, right? All these like stories that are going on in your head. And just this month, I actually like, okay, I'm gonna start selling this. Like, it's not officially on my like website or anything yet, but I'm gonna start selling it. As you know, I mean, people were not like hesitant. Like, yeah, that great. Oh, I get 2 dietitians. Awesome. Like, for the price of 1? Yeah, that's exactly what it's getting. So yeah, I just think so much of it is just like what we kind of tell ourselves people aren't going to be willing to do. And then, you know, again, like as to speaking to what Laura said, it's like if we just sort of stay focused on this is the result you're getting, it almost doesn't matter what the package is or what the offer is or who's helping you deliver it. It's just like, this is what you're going to get. And at this point, like, I don't even have to, at one point I brought it down from like, they got 2 coaching calls a month to 1 coaching call a month with me. And again, same like kind of, oh my God, people are going to freak out. Nobody freaked out because they sort of trusted that like, well, then I guess that's what I need. I guess I don't need more. And it was always like, I'm available. If you need help, I'm here. Like, please reach out. But like, we're only going to hop on an actual Zoom call once a month. Okay, cool. It continually surprises me. I'm only saying that because it's like, I'm constantly being surprised that people are just so willing. Like, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, especially with cancer, I feel like they got so much other stuff going on. I bet for a lot of them, they're like, great, I don't have to have 2 appointments a month. Sounds great.
Totally.
You know?
It feels, it just, yeah, I'm so excited to hear that that's working for you. And it's exciting. Obviously, cancer and nourishment and that support is so amazingly valuable that, like, of course, no matter what, that's going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome to hear and exciting.
Thank you.
So what do you include in your 3-month package with your clients?
Yeah, so now it's changed. So now I'm really encouraging people to sign up for a year, actually, because what I've learned with cancer is that like we're not going to be done in 3 months. And again, it was like a story I was telling myself that people aren't going to want to commit to more than a few months. And there's still sometimes that hesitation, like, wow, that's kind of a big commitment. Like, we're going to work together for a year. And I'm like, trust me, you're going to need it. And you're going to be super thankful that you have us for a year. So now I do have a step down offer that's 3 months, but it's really just for the person who's like post-treatment, where we're working on prevention. It's not quite as, I don't know, hand-holding, like not as labor intensive. But now I'm selling a year. And so they're getting a deep, like an initial new client case review protocol development from me, so like the plan. And then they get a quarterly deep dive with me so that we could do labs or we can like check in or for like now they're done with treatment and we need to shift to post-treatment, like we can create a new plan. But in between that, they're going to check in with my dietitian and the group, right? Because now it's a hybrid. So now it's like, and I think that also helps. It's like if I'm going to step back and only offer 1 coaching call a month, but now they have the group, they can hop on a group call. They can check in with the group in their private community. Like they're not without support. And I guess that was something like Laura really helped me with too, is to realize that even though I'm the like, you know, brains behind this business, like I don't have to be the only one providing the support. It doesn't have to just be me. Like it can be my plan, it can be my vision, but now I have like some team members that can help me deliver and they have a community that they can get support from, just like we experienced today, right? So that's been really refreshing to step back and be like, I don't have to be the only person helping them.
So you're doing like, you're part of like a quarterly call, but then there's monthly calls and then like group stuff. Cool. I love that. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see. I mean, this is the latest iteration. So next year I'll report
Well,
back.
and kind of just something I would love for you guys to hear with what Dionne's sharing is how many of these decisions are her making the executive decision to change something. She's not like polling her audience. Do you guys want 12 months? Do you want 6 months? Like, what do you want? Because honestly, like, do you think most of your clients are like expecting a 12-month package? So if she was just asking her audience to tell her what to do, she probably wouldn't be creating what she's creating, but she's making executive decisions that are best for not only her, but also for her clients, because they do need 12 months. And so it's one of these things where I want you all to just hear beyond just the details, because yeah, she can tell you how many sessions she does and how every session is 45 minutes or whatever it is, but I want you to really listen for the executive decision making about it, because ultimately the exact time frame, the number of sessions, all of that doesn't actually matter as much as what the vision for the program and the solution is, and the way that you want to be present in the business, or maybe you don't want to be as present, and it's okay. There's no guilt, right? Like, you're supporting people. They don't need you to be working until your eyeballs bleed so that they get the support that they need.
Yep.
100%.
Yes,
I have a question. I have two, actually.
Okay.
My first is cancer is still a very broad category. Are you just personalizing everything based on the cancer? Do you only see certain types of cancer? How is that?
Yeah,
set
that's a good question. And actually, some of you, we've talked about that today, because I have sort of struggled in the back of my head too of specifying even more, particularly because I would say the majority of the people I work with are actually breast cancer. So a part of me has been like, well, maybe I'm just the breast cancer dietitian. And I could experiment with that and see how it goes, right? But I also feel like a part of me is sort of like, if I got to a point where I could train other dietitians to do this work, which is maybe on the horizon, because I kind of like that idea. I don't think there's enough of us doing this kind of work. I would feel better being specific. But like right now, and it doesn't mean that somebody who had colon cancer maybe would still reach out, but I wouldn't want that to be a barrier. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, but she only works with breast cancer. I have pancreatic, and she seems amazing, but I'm not going to reach out. So I really struggled with that myself, of just being like, I don't think there's enough of me doing this work to like niche down more, even though I've thought about it.
Do you, just to add to that, do you feel like the way you work with somebody with breast cancer is significantly different than the way you would work with a different type of cancer?
Yeah, not entirely. I mean, the one-on-one work it is specific around their cancer and their treatment plan. So there is some customization around that, but the overarching how we're helping you get through this journey is the same regardless of what your cancer is. So I think that's where, again, having a hybrid, or maybe even having the option of upgrading into a private package, so that if you need more of that customization, or you're having a lot of challenges with treatment, then it gives you that option. But the basic, like what's going to help you get through this, or even like how to manage chemo symptoms, like that's kind of going to be true for anybody, right? So there was a lot of it that I could generalize into like a curriculum or into a group. And then having the group calls, people can ask their specific questions, right? They could say, well, I'm on this hormone blocker and I'm having blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And we're like, okay, well, here's some ideas for that. So,
Can I mention something?
Yeah.
So something to consider with cancer and with what Dionne does is that she's in a relatively, they call it a blue ocean, where there's not a lot of competition, right? Like there's not a lot of dietitians that are specifically talking about cancer and supporting people with cancer. So one of the benefits she has is that there isn't a lot of competition, and it's not like she has to differentiate herself from a bunch of other cancer dietitians. So the more crowded the market, the more sophisticated and differentiated your niche has to be. Because if, like, let's say Dionne was the only dietitian in the entire world, then if anyone wanted help with their nutrition, they'd have to go to her and she wouldn't have to be niched. So the more people that do what you do, the more your message has to be narrowed in and more sophisticated. And I would say, arguably, you probably could hang out at the just cancer level and still do quite well. Maybe you have a program that's like specifically for breast cancer, but I don't look at her niche as being something that a lack of specific cancer type is going to hold her back from going to the level she wants to go to, if that's helpful.
I would say something Lauren said to me, because I was like throwing this idea out to her. And she's like, but you are kind of niched in the sense that you're not like a normal cancer dietitian.
You're like a cool cancer dietitian.
I know, right? Like, we're not just talking about food. Like, we're talking about a lot of stuff. And I think that already kind of narrows down who's going to be interested in working with me, right? Like, when I start talking about energy and the importance of like spiritual wellness, that's
people are gonna
niching
pop
me
out,
down, right? Like, they're like, I don't think I want to talk about that. And then I'm not your girl, right? So I mean, I guess there is some specificity there.
I mean, ultimately, the question you have to ask yourself is it working? Right? Like if your business is growing, if you're making the money you want to make, I don't want anyone to be like, well, maybe I should niche down if everything's growing and this is amazing, right? Like usually you don't fix a problem that's not there. You don't make problems that don't exist. But if Dionne got to a place where it was like, I've looked at my business model, I've looked at my marketing strategy, I've looked at like my team, I've looked at all these places and I'm still not growing, maybe we do need to get more niche. So it would be something she could circle back to. But right now she's specific enough and it's a high value problem enough that she doesn't have to niche further for her business to get bigger than what it is today.
I do have a quick part 2. As far as like marketing and what brings people to your business, what has been the biggest ROI and what have you seen work the best?
That's a good question. I mean, only because I think there's been several. I don't think it's just been one.
Or top 3?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think for my client, I think it depends on where they are in the journey. You know what I mean? So if they come to me and at the very beginning of this, like, for example, I met with a woman last week. She just the week before had gotten a breast cancer diagnosis, right? So she doesn't even know what her treatment is yet. She's just like, I know I need help, like, and I want to do holistic stuff. So speaking to those people, it's like, you already know you want to incorporate diet and lifestyle, but maybe you're super confused by what you're seeing online. People telling you to go vegan, there's people telling you to go keto, like you don't know what to do. Maybe you're afraid to eat the wrong thing. I do a lot of like, if you're feeling fearful around doing the wrong thing, that's going to make the cancer grow, or, you're overwhelmed by what plan you should follow. That works really well for the person who's just been diagnosed. Right?
Is that content marketing you're talking?
Yes, content marketing. Yeah, yes. And that's between emails and socials and stuff, right? Blog posts. If you're already, so for me, it's kind of tricky because I have people entering at different phases, right? So that would be the early person. If it's somebody who's already in treatment, maybe they're having horrible side effects. And so that's what I'm marketing to, is like, you don't have to suffer through treatment. Like we can actually improve that. Or if it's somebody who's finished and they're feeling horrible, and they need to support detox, then that's different, right? And then if it's somebody who maybe has gone through the journey already, but they're afraid it's going to come back, that's different. So I really have like problem lists for each of those people, right? And then I try to like kind of rotate through my marketing through like all those possibilities. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's take one more question because I want to give Dionne some social time too. And my baby's here, so I'd love to bring her in if we can. Does anyone have a final question they'd like to? Hillary.
Because for me too, I kind of have the blue ocean thing. I do blended tube feeding. There's not a lot of people doing what I'm doing. And so I'm at that point now where I was one-on-one and I was now a course. And now I'm like, okay, now I need to just get this in more people's hands. And I don't exactly know what that's going to look like for me. So I'd love to hear if that was the same thing for you, where you didn't have to market so heavily because you were just one-on-one and now you're trying to cast a bigger net, what that looked like what avenues you took in terms of like, I don't know, like not necessarily Instagram versus blogging versus whatever, but what that looked like for you.
I mean, I think that's an ongoing journey too. Like I was, reviewing the grid she just put up for us, right? And I was like, oh, I haven't really done any paid ads. Like I haven't done any affiliate stuff. Like maybe I need to put some energy there. Yeah, so my current model is now, again, with the latest iteration, is to move people into the membership as like a step one. Because ultimately that is, I think, where people need to land first. And then they could upgrade into private if they want, right? So that's changing my marketing a little bit because now it's almost an easier yes. It's an easier sell because it's a much lower price thing. It's lower commitment. So they can kind of get their feet wet and then decide, oh, I think I really need to work with her for a year or whatever. So this is kind of new. Like just this month, we're going to shift our strategy to be like just focused on the membership and see how that goes, to see if that drives more, right? But yeah, otherwise it's really only, I mean, what you saw on that grid. Yeah, it's really just been that, like blog posts, weekly emails, social content. That's it. That's all I've done so far.
You have referral partners, not like official partners, but you
Yeah.
get people that send people to you, right?
Yeah, like Kyle.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I will say? I for me anyways, and I don't have a huge Instagram at all. Like I have a very small Instagram, like 1,500 or something. But for me, what I think social has been interesting for things like this is to network. And I actually think that my online presence, even though people do find me, they'll do a Google search, right? Like cancer nutrition, and they'll find me. I think it's almost more about establishing relationships with like people learning about me. And so then when they know somebody who has cancer, it's like, oh, you need to go see Ground and Root, right? So I'd say that is a big thing, is like networking with colleagues. Again, collaborative, not competitive, right? Like networking with colleagues. And yeah, and then with providers and having other providers who refer to you. And I actually do have a lot of oncologists even. So good. Like, you know, progressive and light oncologists.
Not jealous ones.
I know. Or acupuncturists, or, you know, like other like ways that people might come into the cancer kind of integrative treatment world and then find me. So yeah, there was something else I wanted to tell you, but I'm blanking on it now. If I think of it later,
No,
I'll come find
It's like
you.
we have different niches, but it feels like the same type of situation with medical complexities and different ways you can take it. So.
I know what I was going to say is podcasts.
Okay.
Podcasts have been really helpful. And we were talking about that a little bit too. And I don't know if it's like, I think it's a little bit like what age bracket are your people in? And for me, it's all over the place. You know, originally it was kind of older people, and now it's not. There's a lot of people in their 30s that are reaching out to me. My youngest client right now is 28. So those, like that younger demographic is podcasts actually. And they'll do a search, cancer nutrition or whatever, tube feeding, home tube feeding. And if they hear you on a podcast, like that's also another really easy yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for you, is getting on other people's audiences, because, I mean, that's like going to blow up. It really is. Well, everyone, please give Dionne a round of applause for sharing her honest journey to getting here. And I want to call that a wrap on the official sessions. So we do have drinks are included, so please feel free to have whatever you'd like. I don't recommend getting drunk because I won't feel good tomorrow, but it is on the house, so don't feel like you have to make any decisions based on money. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I'll be hanging out. I'm going to change my shoes to get comfortable, bring my baby in, and if anyone wants to chat, I'll be around. But I hope you guys had a really great first day, and I'll be excited to hear. We'll ask tomorrow morning what your takeaways were. So I'm sure some stuff will come up while you're trying to sleep tonight, and I'd love to hear what those are. So, all right.